problems are one thing when you've got -6 plus -12. But when you've got some of the integer problems are 6 plus 2, and they're like, what do we do when we add a positive and a positive again? And I'm a 7th grade teacher, I'm like, what did you do in 3rd grade? Oh, I get it. So there's that thing when a lot of the students just don't want to think for themselves. They want to grab their calculator every time. My favorite, number 3, they work as if they're getting paid by the hour. Okay, that's their work rate. Nothing more, nothing less. No recall after the previous year. Anybody seen that? Oh, we didn't learn that last year. Well, go down the hall and speak to your teacher. Bring her here. I'm going to, she needs to be fired. No, we hear that every year. This is the first year I've got a 7th grade, and I've got the same class I had last year. And if they say to me, I'm like, you learned that? Remember the squirrel story? Oh yeah, okay, there we go. So it kind of helps a bit. Lacking common sense. My friends at the back of the room, we were saying, you could write a book on common sense nowadays. You really could, and it would be a bestseller because they seem to lack the common sense. They're lethargic, careful mistakes, and themselves, my bad. About 7 or 8% of every test the kids take are in careless mistakes. At least. I mean, that's conservatively speaking. And then, like I said at the beginning, your self-assessment or evaluation of a lesson often doesn't mean a thing, which is kind of a bitter pill to swallow, especially when you thought you taught a good lesson. So we've got some solutions for this using the iPad. That's it. My friend Dan up here is a big research guy. If the research backs it up, it's a good thing. So I did my own research in the classroom. I handed out some forms, and this was going to be great. The kids were going to learn all their concepts. So it was 100 questions. They were all written out, and it had the integer rules, adding, the exponents, distributing, all those kinds of basics. Nothing difficult. 100 questions. I said, okay, let's see who can do this in 5 minutes. So I handed out the sheet to them, put the timer on. After 5 minutes, I walked around. No, they weren't even a quarter of the way. So I said, let's keep going. And after about 15 minutes, I think the first person finished. And I was horrified. I thought, what on earth is going on? So I did that experiment 3 times. So if you look over here, this is the first time out of the 100 questions. This is the average for the class. First time, second time, third time. So there was an improvement, and it's going pretty well. But then I took a couple of apps that I'm going to show you, and I did use 10 minutes. And this is what the apps look like in terms of the number of problems that they did. So we got up to the last group. We got up to 380 problems in the 5 to 10 minutes, depending on which one we use. So it's a huge improvement. So one of the apps that I want to show you. Thanks, Dad. There's a couple. Anybody use the King of Math? Okay. Yeah. Thanks. So this King of Math one is really good. The free version is pretty good. It's got the adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, and then it goes on to equations. Equations are pretty tough. There's an elementary version for this as well, but it starts off a little bit too easy. So this is the one. And it's got all these different categories that you can have over here. So now every time the student's doing, so we'll do the next one. And every time they're doing that, they've either got to think a little bit backwards, or they've got to kind of try in each of these ones over here. So, and you just keep on working with this. If they get it wrong 3 times, they can either choose to restart, or they can just go on to another one if they want to as well. I've got score sheets up in my room as well, so there's a little bit of bragging rights that goes on here as well. So students with a high score, they like that. In my room, there's students that have scored the best in each of the categories, so they can put that up there. A lot of times, students are going home and doing extra homework so that they can be the King of Math. I can't believe it. I don't know why. But last year, Jordan Lynn, did that, and he came to me and said, yeah, I mastered the whole thing, I've got everything done. So I want to get Burger King hats, kind of Burger King hats for a day or something like that, or get the Burger King hats and put their names on it every time someone's got to kind of put it up on the wall. That works very well in some schools, some classes, I know other schools it might not work as well, but that's a pretty good one. I highly recommend that one. It's not too expensive. It's maybe if you get 10 iPads downloaded, 10 of them, you can get a set. That should be pretty good. Another one that's pretty good is that one on the far left. That's called Glowburst. So Glowburst is addictive. So I was tutoring a girl the other day, and yeah, you can dance as well. So I was tutoring this girl the other day. She couldn't order numbers. She couldn't get negatives and positives on a number line. So I gave her this and I said, just go. And she's like, I keep getting the wrong. I said, okay, I'm giving you a piece of candy if you get 500 points. And that was it. That's all I said. I sat at my desk. She said, oh, I said, just stay. You got it. She figured out for herself which buttons to push at the right time. When I went back to teach her the lesson on ordering pairs on a number line, she had done that. She was pretty good at it. So the way it works, anybody want to play? Yes. So just touch them in order. Wow. Let's upload one. It explodes. Just to do this as a warm-up. One person can have it, and kids can be shouting out the answers as well. Or you can do it in a row as well. Yeah, you can pass it back. As one does a round, pass it back to the next one. You can have a race to see which group does it best.
And what's the name?
It's called Glowburst. Glowburst.
What happens if you get it wrong?
You see the time at the top? Every time you get it wrong, it's going to start running down. Yeah. So if you make a mistake, it takes up the time a little bit quicker. So that's how that works. So we've got score sheets for this as well. So, are you trying to get it wrong? You're like, I don't want to fail. Yeah. You can fail.
Yeah, that's fine.
And they're just getting fun.
Yeah. There you go. So that's pretty good. So 17 is pretty decent score. Yeah. I mean, you would have done a lot more. So that's a good one. So
I was so focused.
I saw you. Yeah.
I was like,
So this is a great way. Remember I told you at the beginning the symptoms we see in students? They're lethargic, they've got the glazed look over the eye, they want to reach for a calculator. You do these things, and this is what I suggest. This is a little workout you can do. So you've got, so the workout one is 4 exercises. Like I said, find ones that are good for you, for your classroom. Kind of like the 2 that I showed you. I can show you these others. I'm sure a lot of you have this one, luminosity, just for yourself. My little daughter loves it. You got to see which way the birds are flying. You point with the arrow. So it's just little things. It's not, some of them aren't strictly mathematical, but it's waking them up, and it's getting the glazed look out of the eyes, and it's making things, a little more exciting. What I love about it is some kids that don't usually get a lot of attention, and don't usually do so well in class, they'll go home and practice this, treat it like a game, and they'll be on your leaderboard. And then that little bit of confidence will start hopefully growing and growing, and that's really what you want to get out of these kids. Another one that's pretty lifted. Let me show this one because I like it. The math vocabulary one. Sorry, the beat's gone. So math vocabulary is you just got to pretty much, there's a 2-minute countdown. That's why it works very well as well. And they just choose different kinds of words. So you just got to find a word. I don't know. Anybody see any words?
Car.
0 and zeros.
Cars.
Anyone want to stand up and help me? Because I don't know where these things are. You see one? You see one? I'll just bring it to you. So you just got to tap the letters. Tap the letters and then it's done.
signs.
Is it in there now? Oh, you got to hit it twice.
Yeah.
There's science. I'm missing science.
Instead of sins.
Oh. Sorry, I was looking for like roads and lines.
Rosa.
You got lines?
Car and cars, and care, and cares.
Yeah.
So the point being, they get extra points for math.
That's right, yeah.
Math vocabulary.
And what happens is when the time is done, so they'll be playing these games if they want to.
Go down the far left. Down the lower left. Oh, that way, because you can't start at the lower left and E-R-A-S-E-R. So you go. No, I don't think it works. Lower left.
That's
There you go.
like this.
Lower left.
Good job.
Oh, wow.
Erase? Wow.
How many points do you get for that?
None.
Wipe the score out.
That's good.
Yeah. So, a lot of our students are doing pretty well. I mean, I think they've got like 700-800 points on these. The two 100s is awesome. I mean, because those are math words. What's nice about this is they can then, I mean, we're not going to push the definition, but you know what a zero is. But they would push the zero button, or the highlighted ones, and they'll give you the definition of those as well. So it's a kind of a fun way to get the job done. And then you can say to them, well, you can keep playing as long as you write down the definition for the words. As long as they keep learning. Otherwise it just becomes a game. So if you give them a little bit of the learning aspect to it, it'll help a whole bunch. So I guarantee you, when you're having one of those, you know those days where you just can't get into second gear with the kids, and if you've got a set of iPads and you have these drills arranged, and you break them up into groups, and maybe you can work with a group, and you get 10 of them at the back of the room doing some of these drills, and then rotating, your kids will wake up. Their glazed look will disappear, and if they do it often, then the scores and the little errors, the small mistakes are going to obviously be eradicated quite a bit. So it's very useful, although it doesn't take much time away. Thanks, Dan. Okay, keep going. Okay, so that's a couple of things that, that's the second one. Students have this kind of thinking, give up extremely easy. How many students have read a problem and they read it once and they say, I don't get it? I'm like, I don't either. I've only read it once. How on earth are you supposed to get it? Are you a genius? So that's what they do. They read it once and they completely blank, or they want to give up straight away. Did you even read the problem? It seems like they didn't. It's like, and then they're waiting 5 minutes for you to get to them without trying to read the problem again. There's the common sense again. The defeatist language is the big one. We can't do this. It's too hard. Rushed, garbage answers with very few steps, if any, that are not showing there. And then obviously behavior issues start showing up as well. These are some things that will start playing out in some of our students that we teach. And I've got a couple of things to help us with that. A couple of iPad options for that. Now, before we do this is a little bit of a soapbox over here. Before we do these things, there's a couple of things that we need to realize with students. If they're falling asleep in class, there are some reasons. It could have been because they were up till 4 o'clock playing video games. It could have been something at home. You know, there's those obvious issues. But a lot of times it's just they're not thinking. If you're thinking and if you're excited about something, you're going to be awake. And that's something that we really need to believe with the kids. And I always tell them, if you're falling asleep right now, if somebody knocked on the door and said, hey, you just won $1 million, they'd be up and out of there and excited as can be. And I don't get it, because a minute ago I said, what's wrong? You said, I'm just tired. So if you give them enough stimulation, if you give them enough excitement, that tiredness is going to go. So it's a matter of what they want to do, not what they feel like doing. So how are we going to kind of change that? And then progress, if anybody knows Simon Sinek, great speaker, he believes that progress is one of the best motivators in the world. So if you can show a kid that they're making progress, how do you say it? I don't know, one of those. So that is one of the biggest motivators you can do. So when my kids walk into the classroom, I say to them, I don't care what you know, I care how much you grow. And that's a common thing that they hear throughout the year. I don't mind how much they know when they walk in, as long as they walk out as good. If they walk in and say, I don't get it, I'm like, great, because that's my job to teach you. And then I live for the lights coming on in a kid's eyes. You know what I mean? They're like, oh yeah, I get it now. And they normally can't shut up when they get it. They want to teach everybody, they want to help somebody, and they kind of get really excited about it. That's what you want to get out of these kids. And then the last one is pretty much what I've said. It's the measles and mumps thing. If I've got mumps, and I tell you I've got measles, you're going to get mumps, no matter what I say. And it's the same with your belief system with the kids. If you really believe it, they're going to believe that you believe in it. If you're just doing the whole teacher talk, get them outside and go, yeah, you have potential, and you don't really mean it, that nothing's going to change. So when you give them that type of excitement through these apps, and you really believe that these kids can do what you expect them to do, good things happen. Thanks, Dan. So what I'm talking about here is a lot of kids, I think most students are bored, not because they are gifted. I think they're bored because we haven't found the right thing to stimulate their minds. A lot of parents would argue, and so my kids just bored in your class. Like, they can't be bored, they can't even, if they can do the basics, I'll give them something challenging. But we don't seem to get it. So I like the Bloom's taxonomy to help me with this. So I've chosen a couple of apps that will get to the higher levels of thinking. And they're not really mathematical, but they do open up that spark to kind of think and get excited and get creative. And I believe it's going to open up more pathways to help the math kind of filtering. Thanks, Dan. Go up 2 slides, please. Okay, so there's an app out there. It's called MathTube Pro. I don't think it's out there anymore, and there are ones that are very similar. I tried to tinker with it a little bit last night, and it wasn't working so well. But if you can get this app, there are some others out there. What I might do sometime is I might find something that's pretty fun for them. So this is something to kind of wake them up, make them think a little bit. Anything stand out in that video for you? Any statistics?
You want about the honors kids?
It's pretty alarming. So when a lot of times, what I might do is I might find a lot of these math ones that are not directly related to math, but I could use that one in a lot of different ways. I could use that as a discussion. I could give them the big why we do this. Math is important because look how far behind we are. Look at those kids in India. I mean, come on, let's catch up. We're living in a global economy now. That's the one way. Another way is I can say, okay, now we're dealing with rational numbers. So in this video, you're going to see a whole bunch of rational numbers. I want you to write down all the numbers you see and the context that they're in. So they'll be sitting there and they'll be kind of jotting down the numbers as they go as well. Sometimes I'll let them watch it through once, and then the second time, let them have the goal. Otherwise, they don't really get the gist of it as well. Okay, thanks, Dan. Here's another way we can do the workout. So the workout 2 would be something like this. 10 to 15 minutes. Now you get two partners together, give them an iPad, And this is an example of some of the ways that we can make them think a little bit better. So this one over here, I'm not going to show you too many of these. We're kind of not running out of time, because that's called River Cross. It's very good for elementary school. They get some riddles, and they've got to basically get the chicken across the river. And they've got a fox and a cabbage and all that stuff. So it's got various ways that they can do that. It changes it up a little bit as well. Sudoku is good. IQ tests are great. If you put an IQ test question up on the board through iPad or through through your screen or whatever you want to do, that's a great way to make them start thinking as well. IQ questions are great because they have all different components. They do the visual one, they do the spatial, they do a whole bunch of different types of ones for the IQ. One this is Unblock Me. I think there's over 1,000 different ways. There's Spider-Man ones, there's Avenger ones, any type of Unblock Me, and they can go up to levels as well, which is a good way of thinking. One that's very different that appeals to a lot of the boys is the sign drop one. Has anybody used sign drop before? Okay. Very different. Kind of annoying. They need to turn the sign really soft. So what will happen is, all that's happening is there's these dots falling out of the sky. And every time you put your finger there, it kind of just bounces. And you can change the angle. And you can double tap and the line will disappear. So what I'll do with this is, especially those boys that, works extremely well with them, I will go to the top of the screen and I'll say, okay, I want these, they've got to go from the bottom and they've got to bounce up and you've got to get them exiting through the top right. So that's not, they can change the angle. It's nearly there. Okay, and it gets kind of tricky. So that one's not going to work, so they've got to change that one. And that's close, not quite. Do they change the angle, get higher? No, it just doesn't work. And there's many ways you can try and make them figure that out. Now, is that mathematical? You can find that in your textbook? No, but is it used? I mean, if you've been teaching math a while, you know this works. And then it kind of brings out the African in me as well, like dancing and whatever.
What's this?
So this is called sound drop. Sound drop. So I encourage you to find apps in your classroom that are different. You think the kids will have fun, but it's going to make them think. Anything that's making them think in a different way is what we want to encourage in our schools. I mean, we really need, like we said, catch up to India according to the video. So then on the sideline, what I do is I give my students a goal each year. I say to them, I give them a theme. So last year we were talking about the future. That's why that clip was there. So what does the future hold? What's it going to bring out? And a lot of times these things will all tie in as well. Thanks, Dan. This is what I find happens in the class after doing a little bit of that. So students start working together. There's alertness, confidence, challenge. They're curious as well. It's great when you cut them short from finding something. I know that's kind of cruel, but it's good. Because if you cut them short, then they're going to go home and they're going to think about it. And you got that think tank in your brain. When you're working up in the middle of the night, and you're going, oh, I get the answer to that. Or, darn, I forgot something at school. You wake up at 3 in the morning. I mean, that's the think tank. Your brain keeps on going. So the more things we can throw into our students, and they can keep thinking about it and kind of turn it over, I think we're on the right track. And then, okay, thanks. That's it. Next one. Okay, keep going. Okay, this is where I get most disappointed. When you've taught students a lot of work, you printed out the nice neat study guide, give it to them on Monday, test on Friday, go through the study guide, there's nothing different, and scores are kind of disappointing. Ever been there? Or is it just my classroom? Yeah, that's something that happens quite often. So, poor test scores, students don't know how to study for math. A lot of parents say that to the kids. Well, either you got it or you don't. That's the worst thing you can tell your kids. Home conditions might not allow it sometimes. The language that they talk as well might be like, oh, it's a teacher's fault, but we never learned that. It's kind of excuses. No internet. Sometimes it's valid, but I've got ways to get around that. And then a few teacher excuses as well. A lot of teachers are caught in a rut. I think everybody that's here is not like that. This is something different. You're not going to put yourself out there for iPad convention if you're not like that. But a lot of our peers might be doing the same thing over and over again, and the students are not really learning. It's just regurgitating the same thing year after year, and they want to be really good, and they look really good and really organized, and they hand out the right worksheet at the right time, and they end up on line with the pacing guide, and everything else is looking really good, but it's not really effective. So that's what our measure should be. It should be effectiveness, not looking good. So sometimes you're going to make a mistake in, we just did iPads for 2-3 days, but they seem to learn so much, we have nothing to prove. Go with your gut instinct sometimes. Get the boxes checked off, but think about the types of students we want to create in the end. And then some teachers, obviously, the testing systems, made us not trust the non-conventional methods. That's a big one. I worked for a school department, and from day one, they told me what to teach to day 180. And we were told people are going to walk in the classroom, and if we're not within 2 or 3 days of that, we're going to get a formal complaint or a formal write-up for that. So a lot of times we were kind of put into, this is the, and you had to use their lesson types as well. So there was no ownership of it. Okay, thanks, Dad. This is my favorite way of reviewing. If you review like this, my scores have improved quite a bit. Brain pop, anybody brain pop plan? Okay. With brain pop, what I like about it is obviously the video is pretty good, and you do a little quiz. When they take the quizzes, they hold up boards for me. They just hold up like A, B, C, D. I'm going to change it since I heard about the clicker. I'm going to change that whole thing quite a bit. So brain pop's very good. The King of Math works pretty well as well, and the Educations works well. Now I use these 3 apps together in the classroom. So what I'll use, I've got let's say I'm teaching equations. So on the first one, the one on the right, that's Educations. I've got a lesson that I planned, and the lesson's busy running on my TV in the front. So I've got eight students sitting in the front, and they're checking homework, or it's a video that I sent them. They're learning the concept. Over there I'm teaching, and on the back of my room, the students are busy doing a review with King of Math. So they're doing the book 4, they're doing the equations. So every 15 minutes we rotate through the section, so we're moving through. So the kids, a lot of them say to me, man, was that a whole lesson? Yeah, it was. We just kind of moved a whole bunch. So that's my best review type lesson that I've got for that. And how many people use Educations? Okay, have you uploaded the new one?
Yeah.
The new one's great. The old one was horrible. You would start a lesson, and if you stuttered or sneezed or someone slammed the door, and you try to stop it, and you'd have to start from the beginning, learning the slides, everything. Now it's great. You can actually just save as a file and start really left off. It's pretty neat. Okay, thanks, Dan. Something that I've done with the students as well. This is a great tool. I've downloaded this onto my students' iPads. Not my students' iPads. I've got a set of 12. Sometimes I'll say that I'll break up, like if we're doing a review unit, I'll break up the unit into different parts, and I'll say, okay, you guys do unit 1 and 2, you do 3 or 4, and so on and so on. Make a lesson out of it on this Educations, and post your link to Edmodo. So that evening I get the code, they post it to Edmodo, they get on, they don't have to watch anyone else's. The presentation was their project. Do you understand? The next day they come to me and they say, oh, I saw that one. These students, I promise you, they're going home and they're checking out their friends' videos, because that's the way that this age is communicating. It looks like kind of Facebook-ish. And they've got, I'll repeat it. What I said was, she never understands me anyway. May as well call Siri Elena.
I won't tell her.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's a great tool. So a lot of my students go and I can't believe it, they won't spend 20 minutes doing my work, but then when it's on Edmodo and it's all their friends posting things, they go through an hour or 2 hours as if they're like searching through YouTube videos. Kind of neat. So that's something. And they can be, goofy with the last slide if they want to be. So they make it entertaining for them. Thanks, Dan. Later on, if there's some time, I'm going to show you how to do this with a screenshot. I'll show you how quick and easy it is. So when I started this, I was horrible with education. Absolutely horrible. Now I'm still bad, but I'm just not horrible. So I'll show you what I mean by that later. It's really easy though. You go online and you find a PDF. Have you all found a PDF for a test or quiz or book or something before? And when you find the PDF, you open it on your iPad, take a screenshot, you open up your app, you go to Educations, and there's a little button you push, and it'll upload that image for you. Once you've got those images uploaded, you can duplicate, you can enlarge, you can do whatever you want, and record and do a voiceover with it. And then the nice thing about it is that you can send it to yourself, and then you'll have a link. You can send a link to anybody you want, and hopefully it comes through. Now, there are problems. A lot of times the links don't work properly. A lot of times people don't have flash on their computer, go upload it. So there are some concerns that do happen. But that doesn't, if I'm meeting the needs of 80, 90% of the people with one app, I think that's a win. That's a good thing. As opposed to, it doesn't work for everybody. A lot of us look for the excuses instead of trying to say, well, that works for most people. If it doesn't work, let's figure out what could work for the other small group. So, thanks. And that's just what I've discovered in the green over there. So instead of poor test scores, a couple of the, I haven't arrived yet. It's not like my students don't make any mistakes. They're 7th graders. But the more repetitions they do, they quickly reach the magic number. What I mean by the magic number is most students need to be exposed to work about 40, 45 times before they master it. And we want to accelerate that process as much as we can. A lot of times, like I said, I have this good lesson, things are good, they're great, and the next day I expect them to know that. Well, I've got to ask myself, how much were they exposed to that? And that's always a problem. Were they exposed? And that's just a roundabout number that a lot of the researchers have put in there. Some students do get it very quickly, but I think those that get it very quickly are those that have probably been, in their spare time, adding the extra repetitions in without even knowing it. They just got that mathematical innate ability or preference. So then, for the educations, if you send the video home all of a sudden, now they can watch the video. It's a better format for them. Instead of having a cold textbook and trying to do examples, now at least they've got the cold textbook with some writing and explaining in it. This isn't the only app for that as well. I have another one that I'll show you later. It didn't work. Did anybody update their iPad 2 to the 8.1? I hope you didn't, because I did. I was ahead of the game for once, and that hasn't gone very well. So some of the apps aren't quite communicating the way they should, but I'll show you one day. The teachers at the bottom here. A couple of things that you'll notice with your peers. As a student's enthusiastic, it kind of rubs off on the teachers as well. So when they start growing, you'll start growing as a teacher. You want to help them a little bit more. Instead of prescribed lesson plans, you start regaining a little bit of control again. I don't know what your school's like, but if you prove to your principal, I've always said if you do a great job and you're a little bit outside the box, your principal's not going to ask questions about it. They're going to back you up instead of saying, what the heck are you doing? If you're doing crazy, loopy things and the kids are not doing well, that's your fault. I mean, that's the way it goes. so that's the kind of fine line between that. And so hopefully this will help you regain a little bit of control and creativity by trying these things out. And then trust your results. if, like I said, if you're putting all those other things together, if you're doing a couple of these steps, the end result's going to be good. Trust that it's going to work. Thanks, Dan. This is, how many of you struggle with students that are absent? And you've got to fill in the blanks. Like, this is where I struggle. Not even absent students, just missing work. It drives me crazy because our system is, if they miss work, you've got to put them in the next day. You give them an extra day. So you've got, say you've got 25 students, 3 were absent. So the next day, some of them didn't do their homework. Now those guys, the most they can get is an 80 the following day. But the others 3 can get 100. Then 2 days later, those 3 can get an 80 if they didn't hand in the work. The others are down to a 50. And it just, I mean, I can't keep up with all that. To grade it all, it's very difficult to grade. I can put in the grades, but to actually get a grading for them, I mean, if you've got 5 classes and you are grading 3 or 4 assessments a week, that becomes a little overbearing. So what I do is I will have when it gets to that stage, normally the end of the quarter, a lot more absent students. State fair, missing a lot. Not so much at my school now, but when the state fair came to time, I would lose 30-40% of my kids. They would just go to state fair, and you just knew that, so you arrange your lessons around it. If I use the education, when students are late, missed a class, absent, whatever it is, they can come to my room and there'll be iPads that are loaded with that link, and they'll bring their work in, and they'll grade it themselves, and they'll go through the assessment. So they'll be able to grade themselves, ask questions. You can decide what you want to do with that. Do you want to excuse them from the assessment in terms of grades, but still give them a completion grade? Or, I mean, that's up to you. You just got to decide what's best for yours. But it does save me a lot of time, and it does make students accountable to catch up the work that they've missed. And it doesn't, make me run around and check up and make announcements at lunchtime that so 6 kids need to see me and drive me crazy. Excuse me, Kara. Thanks, Jen. It's just a quote. My friend gave me a background. Start at the top and work your way. I think Caine Academy is pretty good, but I think you guys can make better things than Caine Academy, because you can put in the stories, you can put in the, like if I do think about what Kathy said this morning, the Caine Academy is very, structured and gives you all the steps, but I think we can make something better with, the EduCreations app or that EduPro app that I have as well. So I would always look at, if you don't know what to do, look at the Caine Academy, look at what they do for that thing, and then just make it better. Use that as your platform to kind of go on from there. Alright, we need them. Okay, keep going. Okay. Now, I'm going to put up another one. Let me show you one of these education apps that I've done. And a lot of parents, I mean, how many times have you had a parent-teacher meeting and the parents say to you, well, they take after me. That's why they can't do math. Or, well, I can't help them at home, because I was never good at math. That is really, I mean, even I've made up my mind, even if that's my case with my girls get a little older, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to lie, I'm going to fake it, and do what I can. I'm not going to give them an excuse to think that. So what I try to do, and sometimes it's effective, sometimes it's not. I try to send the parents, sometimes if I want to explain something to them, I'll send the parents an email. And I will literally explain to the parents what's going on in the kid's mind right now, and try and give them some examples of how I would teach the work. But it's to the parents, not to the students. Because I believe that if I'm working together with the parents, the community is going to be a lot better. It's going to be a lot healthier for that as well. Another thing is that if you're giving the parents the resources, they're not going to email you to get the resources. So I use this app to stay ahead of the game. So I'm sending them as many resources as I can, not to get them away, and not to say, I don't want to help you, I don't want to deal with you, but I would rather them have this stuff first and say, that doesn't work. Can we look at something else? can we
What's the name of this
talk
app?
about that? What's that?
What's the name of this app?
It's the education one. I'm going to
Oh,
show you an
interesting.
example of that here. So, oops, not that one. So this was one that I did. This is one that we went from taking a word problem and we had to take a word problem and make an equation out of it. Extremely difficult. I mean, for students to go from concrete to abstract. So I tried to explain a little bit about what I understand about concrete to abstract in as simple terms as I could. And I sent this video out. And this definitely took about 2 weeks of my pacing guide because of this. Our parents are extremely supportive. They work hard with their students as well. They know that I can do so much, but they do so much as well. So I'm very fortunate to be in the community there. But I think it can help in other communities, even if the students are reading. So here's just a little bit about it. It sounds terrible hearing your own voice.
So the title of this lesson is going to be how to move your child's thinking from concrete to abstract thinking, because the work we're going to deal with now is very, very abstract. In this lesson, you're also going to notice that I've left you some resources to read a little bit more about what's abstract and what's concrete. And there's even some ways to develop your child's mind more abstract, as that's what's happening as we head on. Firstly, the main difference between concrete and abstract is this. We can see that if I say to you, what's the word? When I say to you, what is the word dog? Bring up, you probably see an image of a dog. If I say to you, what does H is greater than G mean to you? Well, either you're going to say you have no idea what that means, or you're going to have to think 2 or 3 steps ahead and then come up with numbers that you'll put in place of that. Or you might think even more abstract, you might even think about something that H represents that's going to be more than what G represents, and it might not even be too concrete.
Anyway, so that's a little bit about what I go to. So then I'll break it up into the concrete things that we can actually see, and I'll label it, and then I'll move it to the abstract. So that's something, and then near the end, if the parents are going to go there, I always include some resources and a few things to develop your child's brain from concrete to abstract. So there's a little bit of a teaching component, like how far do you want to go with this? Like what do you really expect? Do you just want to kind of put a band-aid on the kids, or do you really want them to, get the lights coming on in their head? So this has really opened up a lot of good communication with parents as well. And I think if you do these little extra things, parents know that you really care about the kids, and it saves a lot of time in the long run if you do things like that. Okay, then.
They love knowing the terminology that we use in class too. I had a parent email me and say, I was so excited to hear what you said in class, so I knew when I was helping her at home, I was saying the same thing. And I think that means a lot to the parents too.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is kind of what you want to stop. I'm sure you've seen this before. So we kind of get blamed for a lot of things. If we can bridge that gap for parents as well, we can say, everybody's on the same team here. I'm going to work as hard as I can, but I know that you're going to work just as hard at home. And in the middle, your child's going to benefit out of this. And I think that's lacking in schools all over the place nowadays. But a lot of times we just want it to magically disappear, but we don't want to be the person that's going to kind of reach out to the parents and say, hey, we can all kind of fix this. So this is a good way to reach out to them. There's another one. So that's a lot of our philosophy as well, and that's something that obviously we need to kind of address and change as well. So okay, I think I'm nearly done. That's this video. So if you copy and paste that, it's on the PDF running mode. You can get an idea of what it's like. And I don't think that's a good video. I did it in 20 minutes. Put it to 20 minutes to put together. It doesn't take as long as you think to put these things together. And once you start doing it regularly, it becomes a lot easier to keep going. Like I said, a year ago, I was horrible with education. It's absolutely horrible. I mean, I couldn't believe that I'd actually send these videos out when I look back now.
students, and last year, you know, even as rudimentary as the videos were, the kids in my class were like, "Can we watch the screen video?" And they were glued to it. So, you know, maybe for you, not, you know, as high quality as it is.
Yeah, yeah, and that's true. I mean, I think any kid knows if you genuinely want him to succeed. And every time you send an email home or you send a note to the parents, that's what it's saying. I mean, that's the underlying message behind it. So, okay. We're going to do some questions and answers. And just about anything with iPads, like problems that I've gone through, you know, with iPads, things that you challenge with, maybe I can help. I'm sure there's other people in the room that can help more than me. And then also, if we can maybe download an education, so I want to challenge you just to make a little one. Because that is really the backbone of a lot of things. If you look at all the things that I've done, you can use that for anything. And now this morning you can use it to tell a story as well, which is kind of neat. So I loved this morning, wasn't that great? She was awesome. So I'm hosting a friend from South Africa, and he's and I was planning on sleeping in a little bit. He's like, "No, you got to hear this one." And it was great. I'm happy. So any questions? You can slide. Deadly silence.
Yeah. The question I always ask anyone who uses IT or iPads or teaching, if you could start all over from scratch from the beginning again, what would you change, if anything?
Probably not much, because I learned so much along the way. Quite honestly, I mean, I like to learn and grow and improve. I'm like kids, so I'm not worried about making mistakes. You know, there's certain things I have had. You know, with teaching, I'm not thinking, I'm open to kids and say, "Hey, we can try this today, let's do this, or let's do that." I think it's fine. I think I could plan a little bit better, my organization. I thought that the iPads would organize everything for me. They don't. My iPad's as bad as my car, you know, and you know, some files and folders, you've got to still learn to be organized when you have these things. And I think in Nick's talk as well, he spoke about you know, coming up with the reason why you need to have these iPads. Dan gives a good talk about, you know, are we having an iPad just to read a book, or are we using an iPad to enhance a book? If we're reading just to read a book, why don't you just hand out books? Why are you worried about kids having $800, $900 worth of equipment lying around the desks? You know, so you know, that's probably the biggest couple of things I've learned. Tomorrow at 11, good talk. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
I just forgot my question. Come back.
Okay.
Somebody else go, or will come to me. Oh, right. Okay, so when you're doing some of this review stuff, one of the struggles that we always have and is just getting kids to show their work, write the steps down, and sort of emphasizing that. And I think I'm concerned that it's the trade-off of, yes, they're very used to technology, but because of that, they don't necessarily like to put pencil to paper. So have you seen that be a challenge? Do you just accept that it is and you have to work sort of separately, or are there ways to kind of build those two together?
Yeah, there definitely is. If I understand what you're saying, when I do the educations, a lot of times I'll send them their homework with the way you get the answers for the homework. And after a while, I'll just put the answers in, and I'll say, tomorrow I'm checking all your work, but no, if you don't show the work, you don't get grades. So even if they're copying out the first page, as I do it, the second page, they've got the answers, they need to work towards it to get to the answers, especially for the missing students. So does that help a bit? So they have to show the work in my classroom still. When I do the iPad stations, they have to write down their work on the little board that I have in front. And I'm fighting that all the time. Where's the answers on the calculator? Really? All the time it happens. So
I have a suggestion for that we've tried is, I think it's Epic Creations. I didn't set it up, one of the other teachers did, but as a parent I went in and they had the math problem already set up kind of thing, and then the kids recorded themselves working through it. So, oh, I'm going to put circles, and it tapes them doing it. So they're starting to draw, and then they're saying, you can hear them say, oh, that's not going to work, and you see them erase, and then they go through, and it's like a video snapshot of the child solving, thinking through out loud, but it's not like, first I had to blah, 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 because of course as soon as you say, show me your work. But they like it, and then they can listen to themselves, and then they can share it with other kids, and that's been really motivational and really helpful as a parent.
It is tricky trying to get the drill in with a hand, right, to make sure that it's done over and over and over again.
And that a few times actually using explain everything. The kids can record and draw, and it shows that they're thinking. And
Anybody else got any good apps that they use that want to share with anybody?
One of the things I use the EduCreations app for is for my kids who are struggling readers. And I teach science and math, and I'm looking for the science and math content. And so I will actually put the test into an EduCreations video. And then while the kids are taking their paper and pencil test, that certain child will have the iPad with the earbuds and can hear the question read aloud to him or her, and then answer the question and rewind and go back if needed. And that has been a huge benefit. They also only get one question at a time, because I think that's part of testing that's so overwhelming. So you put this test in front of these kids, they see 40 problems already. They've already shut down and know they can't make it through the 40. And the EduCreations has been a huge help with that.
If you haven't written down the word click it yet, please write that down and look at the talk from yesterday. That's, if you're a math teacher, that will, I think it'll change the way you teach and get immediate feedback with that. That's another word. Thank you for that.
What was the word?
Click it, like click it with a P. I don't know how it's spelled, but
Clicker.
Clicker.
Oh, thank you.
click it, sorry.
It's like the old school clicker.
Yeah,
Kahoot.
but without.
So what's it called?
Kahoot,
Kahoot? Yeah.
where it's like you don't have to have the papers or anything, but they all have their own iPads and they answer it, and you get instant results too.
This is,
It's a little bit more interactive, it's not like a.
Kind of like Poll Everywhere or Everyone. Kind of like that.
Yeah. But I mean, the main thing is find something that works for you. Find, I would look through a couple last night. I find a couple of other really good ones as well that I haven't tried out with the students yet, but I know that they'll be really good. If you think about all the thinking that'll go into this one. Okay, so reading sequences. So that's just another one that you're going to have to 5 to. Okay. Now it says.
What's okay? What app is that?
It's a 5.
No.
Oh, sorry, what's that?
What's the app?
Oh, sorry.
I think.
But I will help you. I've written it down. It's on this. If we go back quite a while, it's under the listed apps. It's called. I think it's called What's the Number? It's way at the beginning.
What's the missing number?
Yeah, that's a really good one that I find recently.
Do you have the Moto group number?
Yeah. I think that email that just was today again. Did you get the previous email? I can email it to you.
I
have it right here. It's
Oh, there we go. Is that it?
Yeah. What's the missing number?
QHC. Oh, or the Edmodo is QHCS. Let me start. QHC 6S 7.
This one's pretty good for elementary. Has anybody ever had this one? This is called Wildy Map or something like that. what's this one? W-I-E, facts. What's nice about this one is you can set all the different levels. So you can start off very basic with addition, and the numbers will drop. And remember what I told you at the beginning about maximizing repetitions? This is a great way to do that. So they've got to try and get those before the next one drops. So obviously those are pretty easy. So, you know, you touch the score. I'm not going to give it to you. I went in the front row. No. I was going to be shoes playing it and then it really steps it up. So I didn't do too well there. So that was a pretty basic one, but I can do negatives on, decimals on, and let's do level 20. And, subtraction. So now it's going to step it up a whole bunch. So my 7th graders would struggle with this one. To try to do the same kids. So
might struggle with -3 + 5.
yeah. So I'm not even going to try and push my buttons over here. It's nothing to do.
Is Twitter available on the iPad? Because when you type it on the iStore right now, it comes up as an iPhone only app.
I got it on my iPad.
Yeah, I just got it, yeah. I don't know if you
said it was still work on the iPad.
I kind of started using it now, like I made a question, but so what, did the kids get a picture of that? Who had the printer thing?
Yeah.
So you print them out and is there an ABCD?
There's a number.
Oh, so they
So
hold
depending on the
up.
orientation.
But you go in and create your class, and so like, you would have some one.
Sometimes you
Sometimes
have
you
one.
like,
No,
no,
sure,
tomorrow,
if you go on the,
Let me just finish.
Oh, there's just dominant.
Just go into the,
Okay,
that's what
And that's number 11. Okay, so that's student number 11. There's no error really, but
App Store.
they said it's pretty.
not a clicker, so it's your class.
That's the one.
Hair plucker.
No,
Turkey-
that's on, I mean,
turkey
go-
plucker.
Like they say, go on the internet.
Hair plucker, turkey plucker, hairy fun face. Leg hair plucker.
It might not scan.
you can get that to the iPhone.
Right?
That's just gross. It's awful.
It looks very similar to computer science when you started using it too, and it gives you the data right away. And you can print yourself a spreadsheet, and then you can like answers and it's, yeah.
It's fantastic.
My kids begged, advanced and forward. Yes.
Yeah, will you put that on the mode as well? You can just sign on and say, hey, is that one I've mentioned? So, if you
Another one is how you learn, how you got it.
So if anybody has any background, like I said at the beginning, let's try to create a community like we'll help each other. So if you know one that works well, you don't want to speak up, or you think about it later, you know, the think tank, write it down in Edmodo, let us know what it is. We can kind of try it out as well. Even if we use that as a little bit of a platform for us to use in the future, it'll be really good. Otherwise, if you have downloaded that app, I can help you with the educations if you want to see how to download it, and I'll show you how quickly that is. I can help now. Or if you write down just one thing that you learned from the conference that you're going to take out this door and apply, then you're free to go. So thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.